Okay. Well, as people roll on, I might kind of get us started. Jonah, do you want to do a welcome from the young professionals?
Sure. Welcome everybody to the Young Professionals Tips and Tricks webinar. Thank you to Vivek for getting this set up, especially for the grad students. And so thank you all for joining, and always remember that just because you're grad students doesn't mean you're different from YPC. You're in it just as much as anybody else.
That's right. So let's go get started. Sorry, say that again. I'm having a hard time hearing you, Anita. I'm not.
Yeah, they
you
forgot
might
to do it, I guess.
Okay, so we'll get started here. Interview do's and don'ts. So a little bit about me. My name is Gayle Baker. I am an ASABE Board of Trustees member. I am a past chair of the Young Professional Community. I graduated in 2010 from Iowa State University. My first job was with the Illinois Natural Resources Conservation Service. I did my kind of area of concentration in structures in the environment, and I did about 4 years doing soil and water conservation engineering before I realized that I missed manure in my life and started working with Maurer Stutz engineers in Peoria, Illinois as a consulting engineers for livestock producers, where I get to talk about manure every day.
I'm Jonah Bolin. I'm the Young Professional Community Membership Development Council representative. Oftentimes you'll hear that abbreviated as the MDC. It's one of the now 5 councils of ASABE. I graduated in 2019 from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. My first job was a vehicle design engineer here at John Deere on the large tractor product family. And then I'm currently a drivetrain engineer here at the Product Engineering Center in Waterloo. I am also on the John Deere recruiting team for the University of Nebraska. So that's how I originally got involved into some of this interview area.
So today, obviously objective is to give you interview do's and don'ts. We are going to kind of do some examples, and at the end, depending on what we have for time, we might even give you a chance to run through some questions or situations as well. So before the interview, resumes. Resumes are unfortunately your first impression, and unless you're able to meet that person ahead of time, to give them a reach out and they know you through somebody else. If you're going up to somebody and handing them their resume, that's the first thing that they're looking at when they look at you and your qualifications. So remember, this is your first impression. You want to grab their attention, but there's a balance. You don't want it to be solid text. You want it to be meaningful things with keywords that you know that they're going to see and be like, oh, that's a good qualification. That's things I'm looking for. So just think of this. If you were at a career fair and somebody was giving you 100 resumes and you need to pick 5 to call up and talk to further, how do you make sure that yours is sticking out and grabbing attention? So list the most important things first. It's one thing I've learned is people don't read and people have short attention spans. So order top to bottom, newest to oldest, important things at the top. Sometimes even like school is drifting further and further down these resumes I see, and more it's what your qualifications are at the top, what your research is, what your areas of research are. Those have made their way up to the top. So resumes are constantly changing. So it's always good when you are looking for a job to take some time to look around on the internet and see what the current trends with resumes are. If you're still in school, we're still going to say that education info is at the top. Make it clear graduation date or your time at school. But if you are out of school, then like I said, that experience starts to come first. Experience makes you stand out. If I get a resume and there isn't a lot of experience on there, unfortunately, unless that person I've met through an event, I'm probably not gonna give them much more of a look. So even if you're not able to get an internship or a co-op in the area that shows the experience of where you're trying to work, putting job shadows on there is a good idea to show that you're trying to get the experience. It just hasn't quite come to fruition yet. So, and making those contacts in the industry of where you want to work, or this is a good example that I always give to people when I interview that maybe don't have the experience is in my line of work, we're developing construction plans. And if somebody handed me a resume and they had experience working with a construction company on their resume, they are actually going to rocket to the top of my list because I know that they have hands-on experience. And sometimes that hands-on experience is worth way more than just doing an internship or a co-op. So kind of keep that in mind to get creative about how you're getting experience on your resume. And then the other thing that always stands out to me is involvement outside of work. If you're involved in student or professional organizations, that always kind of tells me that you're very interested in this field and being involved. So again, if you're going to career fairs, one page. That's all we're really going to be able to look at and at a career fair. As you get further into your career, your resume starts to get a little longer, and having a longer resume is good. But when you're trying to start getting that experience, one page. Never lie, but be proud of your accomplishments. Make sure to brag them up. If you have awards or accolades, those should go on your resume. And I talked a little bit about experience again. Make sure that you're putting experience on your resume and experience that applies to the position. Sometimes when I get resumes that show that people are just working because they have to work, they have jobs at, McDonald's or the golf course or, things like that. Like, well, I know that you're a worker and that's always a good thing, but I want to try to see things that are relevant to the job. So like I said, going and finding a job that's related to your field might not be exactly what you want to do, but is related to your field is a great way to start getting experience on your resume.
And one way that you can do that, actually, like Gayle said, some of those out of school or out of internships, if your hobbies and your extracurricular activities tie into a job, if you don't have a good place to put that, like it's maybe not super official or it's not like ASABE or something like that, you can add that into your summary area where you're describing yourself a little bit. So that's an easy way to put a plug in for maybe something that's a little less official, but it shows the hiring manager a little more about you and what your interests are.
Absolutely. Okay, so GPA. This is a tricky one. If you're ashamed of your GPA, like I was, graduating school, not listing it because it's low doesn't mean it won't be discovered. Because one of the things I ask for is a transcript. Now, the one thing that my transcript does show is, well, I had a rocky first 2 years. I didn't care for the calculus and the physics, but when I got to the nuts and bolts of my ag engineering program, I killed it. I got A's, I got B's. So it shows kind of, I struggled those first couple years, but I stuck it out and I got to the classes that were applicable and I enjoyed them, and it showed on my transcript. So GPA, it's best to just be honest about it, put it on there. Some companies will weed you out because of it. And that's just something to, I don't know, just know that you might have to battle if you have a lower GPA. But that's where, if you do have a low GPA, having experience to counterset that, where they go, well, this person had a low GPA, but you can tell they're getting experience or they're trying to get experience by making this extra effort. That sometimes will overcome that low GPA. So, and then if you do have a low GPA, just be prepared to tell the employers if they ask you why it's low, where you struggled, and things like that. A little bit more here about extracurriculars. It's a balance on how much you put on. Like Jonah said, if it's something you think that really speaks to who you are as a person and your area of interest, you should put it on there. But if I did cheerleading on the side, I probably would leave that off if I'm trying to sell myself to an engineering company when I have ASABE experience as well as my extracurricular. I'd probably keep the ASABE on there, but I'd leave cheerleading off. And then reference, same, they should be left off. I always kept them on a separate document and kept it, just in my portfolio or as a file, that when I did go to apply for jobs, my references were ready to just be emailed or handed over. So job fairs. Kind of touched on this, but normally if you've never been to a job fair before, it's a bunch of booths, you're in a crowd of people and you're walking around and trying to make sure that in that short time that you see the people at these different booths, you make that interaction count. It does help to put a face to your resume. And so having a good first impression with your resume, as well as you putting forward a great elevator speech, is what will make your resume stay at the top of the pile. And so that all comes down to your elevator pitch. And honestly, this is
Gayle,
something that
maybe it's just me. Did everybody else see that she froze up?
Oh, did I freeze? Am I back? Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you couldn't hear me anymore. Am I back?
yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. Like I said, your first impression at a career fair, or even just when you meet somebody at a meeting or at a conference, having your words put together for your elevator pitch is key. And this is something that I practice in the mirror. And don't be afraid of that. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be afraid of it. To go home, stand in front of your mirror and practice it. So that way you know how to quickly get those words out of your mouth and it sticks in that person's head. So, for instance, typically when I introduce myself to people, hi, my name is Gayle Baker. I'm a consulting engineer here in Illinois. I work across the Midwest with livestock producers. I work in the realm of regulatory and government assistance for livestock producers. And so that's kind of my quick and dirty one when I introduce myself to people. You want to make sure, and it depends on who you're talking to, how big of words and jargon you use. I don't want to get down and dirty about, all the different kinds of regulations I'm involved in, IEPA, DNR. I don't want to list out all that kind of stuff because most people might not know what that is. Now, if you're talking to somebody who would know what that jargon is, you can start slipping that into your elevator speech, but really you want to get your point across very quickly, about why you want to talk to them. So as you go to career fairs or, just if you're trying to just be better about getting across who you are and what your area of research is or where you work, practice that in the mirror. So you can get those words out without stumbling or having to think about it. Jonah, do you want to do your elevator pitch?
Yeah, sure. So mine coming out of college, I kind of had two. There was one that was the 15-second version, and then I had the 30-second version. So the really short one kind of went like, hi, my name is Jonah Bolin. I'm a sophomore in agricultural engineering. I've got a farm background. I really enjoy working on new designs, working with suppliers, and then customers to come up with a final design. So I'd really enjoy getting to talk to you a little more about your company. And that was the very basic. I don't have a ton of experience. I'm just looking to first impress them with energy, passion about the subject, and communication. So because the elevator pitch is so short, you're not going to be able to go into everything else. So pick one or two things, like it says here, and nail those.
Yep. The other thing to do with your impression too is a lot of times when I'm at a career fair and people come up to me, as much as eventually I would like to sell myself and my company to you because I want you to work there, you first are selling yourself to me. So when you walk up to me and say, they go, "Hi, I'm this," and they tell me about themselves, I go, "Okay, hi, nice to meet you." It's like, so what do you know about our company? What do you know about the jobs we have available? And so then that's the next thing. I'm gonna throw it right back to you. Why are you at my booth? What do you like about my company that makes you interested, that you want to come talk to me about getting a job? So make sure that when you go to a career fair, you have a list of companies that you want to talk to, that you've looked into them, you've looked into their website, but no, mostly that you know what kind of jobs they have available and what they might entail. Because if somebody comes up to me and I'm like, "Well, what do you know about our company and the jobs that we have?" And they go, "Oh, nothing really. I just wanted to stop by and talk to you." I'm gonna be like, "Oh, okay." And so then, I'll pull out my little flyer and we'll talk more about it. Now, if that is the case, and you're walking through a career fair and you see a company that had missed your research ahead of time, you're like, "Oh, I think I want to stop and talk to them." Be honest. When you walk up to them, say, "Hey, I saw your booth. I'm very curious about what you guys do. I'm sorry I didn't research you ahead of time." Just come right out and say that. Say, "I'm sorry I didn't research you ahead of time, but you caught my eye and I'd like to hear more about your company and what jobs you have available." That's also a great way to start. So kind of keep some of those things in your back pocket as you go around the career fair. Okay. Jonah, anything else to add about career fairs and first impressions?
Yes. One thing that this is more of a trend. It used to be something that we didn't have college students or new applicants do, is there is a trend to put photos on resumes so that when you do come to the career fair, whether you sent them a resume ahead of time, they recognize you, and that's something additional that can get you in the door a little bit as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen that a whole lot yet, but I will say that it's a nice feature. And even on our resumes that we put in when we're trying to get, jobs and stuff, and we're showing our qualifications, it's kind of become our standard operating procedure that we have our headshots on our resumes as well. So, yeah, I think that that's a new trend that we're really going to start seeing. Cover letters. I can take or leave cover letters, honestly. They are a thing that where you're trying to get across a point that's not in your resume, that they're beneficial. But typically at a career fair, if you hand me a cover letter, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be excited about it or not, to be honest. It'd have to be a pretty amazing cover letter. More than anything, when you email me and follow up at the career fair, when I say, "Okay, I've really enjoyed chatting with you. I've got your resume, but I still need you to go and apply for my job." When you submit that resume to the email or to whatever, you can put a little blurb with your resume submittal in your email that kind of acts as your cover letter. And those are probably more beneficial from my standpoint. Jonah, I don't know how John Deere does it with your submittals. Do you require a cover letter?
It's optional but recommended, especially if you are maybe don't have as much experience or internships. A cover letter is also a way that you can explain more of why you're interested, and so it kind of reframes the conversation as to why you're applying.
Mhm.
Internally, when we move positions within DEER, cover letters are an excellent way to have you stand out from other applicants. Because if your resume is the exact same as someone else's, which is not uncommon, a cover letter is where you can explain why you're interested in the role and why you would stand out as compared to someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so cover letters have their place. So just to follow up on career fairs, it's going to be short conversation. Have your elevator speech ready. Sell yourself, but also sell that you know about their company. So do your homework and make sure you reference the materials they have out there. Nothing makes me more excited when you tell me you've actually looked at my website. Because we take a lot of time to put together our website and put information on there. And then telling them specifically what area of work you're looking at. Anything in engineering is not a super great response. People want to know that you have goals and you have a direction where you're heading. So if you are looking at a broad range of engineering, then make sure to say that, but don't just say anything in engineering. Okay, networking. So developing relationships with professionals puts the icing on the cake of your resume. So I'm going to tell you a story. So I had somebody submit a resume to our careers email at Mauerstutz, and it came through, and the resume was okay, but he didn't have a lot of applicable experience. I could tell he was a senior and he was getting ready to graduate and he was looking for a full-time job, but did not have any, background or experience that would say, oh, he could come in and hit the ground running, in this regard. Fast forward about 2 months, and I started doing a capstone project with this school, and the student who had sent me a resume happened to be on my capstone team. And I didn't even put that together until he emailed me and said, hey, I'm trying to get, apply for jobs and stuff. I don't have a lot of experience on my resume. I want to put this capstone project on my resume. Would you be willing to be a reference for me? And all of a sudden something clicked in my head and I went, oh, I think he applied to one of our jobs. Sure enough, went back and he had, and I had kind of said wasn't interested in because he didn't have the experience we were looking for. But now I know him, and now I've worked with him on this capstone project. And I said, you know what? As we work through this capstone project, you're getting to see my company and I'm getting to see who you are. I was like, at the end of this, you want to talk about a job, I'd be happy to. And that's all because now I know who he is. And because I've worked with him just enough to say, hey, let's talk a little bit more. So keep that in mind as you are applying for jobs, when you're going to professional events. If you see a professional, you're like, maybe not right now I'm looking for a job, but someday in the future I might be, I'm going to go get to know this person. So that's a little real life story of how to get noticed. Jonah, you have anything to add there?
I think that's spot on.
Okay. So you got the interview, you made the right connections, you impressed them with your resume or your elevator speech, and you got the interview. So again, comes back to researching the company, and doing maybe a deeper dive, making sure you've taken a good look at the job description that you're applying for, and you have the jargon and the words to describe how experience you have might apply to this company. Maybe also take a look at LinkedIn and see if you can find people that work for the company that might be your interviewers, so you can find out if you have any links to them through other professional contacts. So dress the part. I actually kind of dressed up today for this webinar to dress the part of when you're doing an interview. So you won't ruin the decision by having not come prepared and come dressed professionally. Sorry, I should have kept going on my slides here. And then just make sure that when you're there, you are acting professional, making sure you're making eye contact with all your interviewers. Bring a notepad and a portfolio with you. Be prepared with some questions that you want to know about the company. I really enjoy it when there's a little bit of back and forth in the interview. Like I might ask the interviewee a question, but they say, well, and this kind of ties into this question I have, and it becomes more of a conversation than an interview. And so just be prepared for that. Try not to fidget when you're talking. Acknowledge everybody. It's easy to hone in on one person that you're like, okay, I'm feeling really comfortable with this person. I'm just going to talk to them. Make sure you're giving everybody that's interviewing you eye contact. Look around the room and engage with everybody. Go through on the internet and research some common questions that you might come across in your interview. Some common ones would be, why did you go into engineering degree that you did? Why did you choose the school? Focus on working in teams because we all love group projects, but they never go away. They're with us for the rest of our lives. I'm on a team every day. So focus on how you've worked as a team, and then how you've overcome adversity. You've had differences on your team. You don't want to put too negative of a spin on it. You want to try to show how you had a bad or negative situation and you turned it into something positive, and finished the project. So as far as answering questions goes, it's okay to elaborate on your answers, but don't just be conscientious as far as like, this is to where if you're looking at all your interviewers, you can kind of see if they're starting to zone out on your answer. So try not to make them too long-winded. If you see they're starting to zone out, hurry up and get to a conclusion. And it's okay to ask them at the end of your answer, if you're not sure you answered their question completely, to say, did I answer your question? Because then they might have a follow-up too. So that's okay if you're not sure you answered their question the way they were hoping you would, to follow up. So the biggest thing that I can say about answering questions is the STARS method. And that's pretty huge. And STARS method stands for the situation and the task. So describing, in the answer to a question, an actual real world situation that happened to you. And so by describing a situation that's similar to the question they're asking, how you performed in that situation or task, and what you did as far as showing like a competency, like communication or organization, and then what the result of your actions were. All the questions they ask you should lead to something that you've done or accomplished or had to deal with, and what was the result. So, for example, how do you handle multiple deadlines and multiple projects? So during my time as laboratory manager for Dr. Burns, I had to manage the laboratory analysis on several projects. I created a submission sheet that was submitted with samples and the analysis requested completion date. And then I would review my workload each week with Dr. Burns to discuss my priorities and set my deadlines. The submission sheet, one, helped me track sample progress, and two, provided analysis reports in a timely fashion. This also aided in providing workload updates to my supervisor. So this would be kind of an example of how you would do a STARS method. Jonah, did you pick a subject on which you wanted to do a bad star on?
I did. One was,
Okay.
tell me about a time that you worked with a cross-functional team. A bad response would be, well, I was on this team in college and in a class, and we were there were all the different functions of different majors, and we worked on a group project together, and I thought it went really well.
Oh, that told me so much, Jonah. I'm so happy you answered the question like that. Can you elaborate more?
And then you actually need to get the details, but don't start off with that short summarized, canned answer.
Yeah. Be specific, talk about an action. So give us a good example then, Jonah.
Okay, sorry, my meeting is going in and out. So for the same question, tell me about a time you worked with a cross-functional team. A good answer would be, during our homologation process for a new product, we had a safety concern identified by the inspector that we needed to take care of in order to move forward with approval. So I was tasked with finding a short-term solution. What I ended up doing was contacting both our safety lead, our supply management team, and our quality engineers to identify a solution that was readily available from our parts and suppliers that we could install onto the tractor to ensure that we met the inspector's needs and requirements in order for us to ship. I set up meetings, I sent emails, and brought the team together within a couple days to make that happen. The end result was that I ended up creating 1 or 2 new parts, passed them through the process, and we were able to meet the homologation requirement before shipping on schedule.
Yeah. And the other thing that the STARS method does too is it shows off your experience at the same time as handling some of these more professional qualities that interviewers are looking for. So definitely, and one of the things I did in college was I would, pick a couple different areas like communication, organization, time management, and I came up with stars. I wrote them out and I had those and I kind of would look over them before interviews. So I was ready with my stars. I wasn't making them up on the spot. I knew, like, if they're going to ask me a communication question, I'm going to go to this star. They asked me a project management or a time management question, I'm going to go to this star. So take the time to write those out, just like I did here, because they will bail you out in an interview for sure. Okay, dining with a potential employer. Nothing makes me more nervous than dining with somebody important. It's often, if they do that, it might be a little more or less formal, where you don't have to wear the suit and tie. But remember, you're still sitting in an interview. Make sure you use good etiquette. Chew with your mouth closed, swallow before you talk. Avoid politics, negative comments. So still remember you're in an interview, you just happen to be a little bit less formal.
And if you have this option at your university, one thing that you can do is you can actually go to the Career Center, and they actually will take you through some of the business etiquette involved with some of these formal dining centers. That was something that we had with one of our development seminars as part of our coursework. And so they'll show you how to hold your drink, how to hold your plate, so that you can do some of the things like shake hands, pass resumes, while at the same time doing some of this more formal dining type of things.
Yeah. So concluding the interview, you made it through the interview, you killed it, you had your stars ready, you were prepared, you looked at all your interviewers. Most of the time, interviewers are going to leave you with, I think we're done with all of our questions. Do you have any questions? Be prepared to answer those questions, whether it's related to benefits, whether it's related to, a good one I like to hear from people is when they ask about the company culture. What do you, tell me about your company and the culture you have here. I, value a company that has this. What does your company do? Do you have mentorship at your company? Do you do community service projects? Things like that. That shows me that you're interested in how you're going to fit in our company. So showing those kind of interests in questions go a long way. Benefits, those are always kind of always good ones to ask about. And then thank the interviewers for their time, firm handshake, and always follow up your interview within a day, maybe 2, with an email or even a thank you card. But any more these days, an email goes just a long way to show, hey, I'm still very much interested in this job. So make sure you do that. Okay. Show enthusiasm. They want you to be excited and care about the job. So feel free to let that enthusiasm come through. Any questions so far about things that we've covered today, before we go into some different resources that we have at ASABE? And feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions.
It's not a question, but I just wanted to let people at Mississippi State know that there is an event by Career Services that does the formal dining thing that we talked about. So just look out for emails and participate whatever the event that Career Services offer, which will be really helpful when you step into the professional world from grad school.
Any other questions? And if you think of them in a minute, please put them in the chat. We can get to them.
Okay. So ASABE does have some member resources as far as preparing you for a career, helping you find a job, and resumes. So there is the ASABE Career Center. And that's a place for you to view, search, and apply for job openings, careers.asabe.org. That is a resource that you have available for you. And Sarah's on, if you want to jump in, Sarah, with any of these resources. There's also the Resume Target partnership with advanced resume styling. So if you go to resumetarget.com/ASABE, there are some resume templates and some strategies on there. I have not personally used any of this yet, but I've heard that they're pretty nice resources to use. Finally, one of the things that will propel you as far as your career search is professional licensure. Depending on what area you're in, I know some areas value it a little more than others, but getting that PE, man, looks pretty good with those PE initials behind your name. So ASABE does have the PE exam mentor program. So we'll assign you to somebody who's previously taken the exam and can be there to answer your questions. We also have an incentive program. We will pay you dollars to take the test. You can get $450 for first-time test takers to help cover expenses for the exam and resources that you need. We have sample exam questions. Specifically, there's ones through NCES, which is the organization that puts on the exam. But we also have some ASABE sample exam questions that you can get by participating in our study sessions. We have webinars and other prep materials available on the website if you stay a member. And then we also have a panel that will be at the annual international meeting if you want to hear more about the PE. And then, we hit a lot today on networking. And if you're looking for professionals and ways to meet people so that way your resume sticks out, we have technical committees that you can be a part of. I think I joined my first technical committee when I was a sophomore in college. I was just an observing member, but a lot of the people that I met on that committee are people that I work with as a professional now. And I have all these resources now because I've been a part of my technical committee since I was in an undergrad. There's local section meetings as a way to meet other professionals. Of course, the annual international meeting, which was in Anaheim this summer, and then ATEC, which we just had a couple weeks ago down in Louisville. And then there's always special meetings, special conferences on different areas within ASABE. Like I said, there's 9 technical communities. So you can find an area and a committee that's specific to you. And there's also member communities like the young professional community and the grad students organization within that. So Jonah and Vivek, you want to talk about your upcoming other YPC activities?
Yeah, so we will be having a YPC development webinar May 15th at noon Central Time with Travis Tsunomori. He's what we call the godfather of the YPC. So you can come and listen to him. We also had the YPC technical info webinar, and that was set for, I believe it's March 27th. So you should see some details coming out here soon on that. And then obviously we have the annual international meeting in Anaheim, California this summer. So I hope to see you at one of those events.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have a couple of events that are hosted by grad student subcommittee. One is grant proposal writing workshop, and also the other one is with breakfast with department heads. We're trying to include a speaker for that event to kind of motivate and also learn how to tackle the fears that we usually possess while applying or while talking to somebody, so it's going to be fun and informative. So I recommend attending those events. And also throughout the year, we are planning on workshops. I'll send out emails and notifications through Engage or through email. So yeah.
And these are great ways to network and connect with people, because if we're all in the same industry and we're all going to these events, it's a great way to look at that committee and make a connection in the industry. If that is your career goal, it's extremely helpful.
Mhm.
We got one question in the chat. Is there a criteria for majors who are eligible to take the PE exam?
So as far as majors, no, if you are graduated from an ABET accredited engineering major, you have the qualifications. You of course have to take the FE, which is the fundamental of engineering exam, which is the first step to then getting your PE. So ABET accreditation is important though, for your qualifications to take the FE or the PE.
Yes, so there isn't that requirement depending on your state. So you should look into this depending on your state. You can actually take the PE first and then work on some of the experience portion. There's often a minimum requirement of experience. So if you want to take that FE and that PE very quickly after school so that everything is still fresh, you're able to do that.
But yeah, like Jonah alluded to, it's very state specific. So you'll want to check into your state and see what the requirements are.
Yep, go to your licensing board. They'll have all of that info there.
And country too. There's licensing
country.
requirements for countries too. So any other questions?
No, I asked the question because recently I found out that my degree is not eligible for PE or FE. So I was planning on attending the event at AIM with Gayle. So yeah.
Don't you have an engineering degree though, Vivek?
My degree states that it's a Doctor of Philosophy in Agriculture Sciences.
Oh, it's a sciences degree.
It's a College of Ag and Life Sciences. So.
Okay.
But that's your PhD, right? What's your undergrad?
It is in Bachelor of Technology. So it is kind of like a engineering degree, but it's named as Bachelor of Technology because I got it from India.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think all the AETB, AETC students from where I graduated are eligible for PE and FE, but just have to check it with the graduate coordinators in their respective departments.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, one question for how do you join YPC? Well, if you're already in ASABE, paid your dues, that automatically means you are in YPC. If you are under the age of 35, if you're looking where to find us, You can find us on Engage, on social media. And if I go to Engage, I'll quick pull mine up so you guys can see how to do it.
You can go ahead and share your screen.
Yep, I'm gonna quick get signed in first. Let's see.
Just to advertise YPC, there are elections this year, so feel free to nominate yourself or somebody whom you know for the positions that are mentioned on the website, or will be or will be posted soon.
Can everybody see my screen?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if you are in Engage, number one, you should make sure you get that set up. You're going to get event notifications and other things that maybe you don't notice if you aren't checking the events calendar. So that's one way to get some notifications. And then you just click on communities up here in the top right on your profile. So communities. If I look at mine, I'm on the Iowa section, the Membership Development Council, and a number of standards. And then down here, I have the Young Professionals community right here. And if you're not seeing that, go over here to the top, click on communities and committees, and then scroll down. It should be in alphabetical order, and you can click on the one that you want. And if you're still not finding it, use the search bar.
And if you do realize that you are a member of the YPC on Engage, but you're not receiving all the communications, you may need to adjust your notification settings, and that's just under the profile, which is the little picture of Jonah at the top, or it'll be like a little ghost profile. If you haven't added a picture, yeah, it'll be under my account.
Yeah, and so you might be able to check your inbox. I just went through all of mine, but you should be able to see some of that in here. My connections, you can connect with people as well. So this is a new powerful tool that can be used to make those connections as well. Did that answer your question? Hopefully.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? All right then, Vivek, is there anything else you'd like to share?
That's it. Really thanks to the speakers and Sarah for coordinating with us. And I'm looking forward to the participation in AIM, and all the best to you guys for your future endeavors, all the grad students. And just be on the lookout for events that are organized by ASABE. I'm pretty sure that they are really helpful because they helped me. So
We look forward to it, and thank you for the invite.
Yeah. Well,
Feel
thanks,
free
guys.
to email or send us questions. Everybody is available on email. Lot of people have my email as well, so you can email me and I can link you to either Gayle or Jonah or Sarah. So
Yes, and I did see one comment. If your laptop shut down or something like that, we are recording it, and we'll try to get this posted along with the slides as well, or just the recording, so you can go back and look at it in case you missed something. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Have a nice day.